Hey yo, what's up everybody? It's your man Honorable October 9. This is the Art of Thinking Out Loud, Live Common Sense Analytics. You already know what it is. It's, we got something else that we want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about how the government uses propaganda, legal propaganda, and it was reportedly only used against foreign countries and things like that. But I'm gonna let you check out something. I want y'all to check this here video out from my Twitter. I share a lot of good information over there because I found a lot of good information over there. But I want y'all to check something out. Listen to this and then, tell me what you think about how our government operates when it comes to propaganda. And I'm gonna say a little something at the end because I got a few things I want to put in your head. Check this out.
Psychological operations, PSYOPs, or as the government likes to call them now, military information support operations, are a very real part of war, and there's an entire division within the Department of Defense dedicated to them.
Psychological operations has consistently been important throughout the history of warfare.
Persuade, change, influence. That is the motto of the U.S. Army's Psychological Operations Regiment. They employ specific communication methods using a variety of techniques, technology, and mediums to develop and deliver messages which will have the greatest impact and influence.
And while the U.S. government likes to claim that PSYOPs are only launched against enemies in foreign countries, that couldn't be further from the truth. Such PSYOPs include planting fake news stories, not to mention setting up patsies and then arresting them before they supposedly were about to kidnap a governor in order to continue spreading a climate of fear in America and justify continued invasion of people's privacy and erosion of our civil liberties, and the narrative that Trump supporters are trying to overthrow democracy. But military insiders don't just think that fake news stories, propaganda pieces, and false flag attacks are enough to accomplish their goals. And so they've added some truly Orwellian and sadistic plans to the PSYOP toolbox. A lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army at the time named Michael Aquino, an admitted Satanist, by the way, and founder of the Temple of Set, an offshoot of the Church of Satan, wrote a report for the Department of Defense in 1980 titled From PSYOP to Mind War that proposed using psychotronic weapons against the general public in order to alter people's brainwaves, thus altering their mood to coincide with government propaganda that was being broadcast. Aquino wrote, quote, infrasound vibration up to 20 hertz can subliminally influence brain activity to align itself to delta, theta, alpha, or beta wave patterns, inclining an audience towards everything from alertness to passivity. Infrasound could be used tactfully, as ELF waves endure for great distances, and it could be used in conjunction with media broadcasts as well, end quote. So basically, Lieutenant Colonel Aquino proposed zapping populations with invisible radio waves in order to make them anxious or lethargic, depending on how the government wanted them to feel at the time, and use this weapon, as he said, in conjunction with media broadcasts. This gives a whole new meaning to the term wearing a tinfoil hat. It's certainly reasonable to believe, with a long history of illegal, inhumane, and bizarre government experiments known to have been carried out in the past, that this device he described has been built and tested to determine its effectiveness, if not fully employed as a psychological weapon aimed at any number of groups or events. If this sounds like just another crazy conspiracy theory, then you should know in 2016, numerous U.S. and Canadian embassy staff members in Havana, Cuba, reported experiencing strange ringing in their ears and cognitive disruptions, which opened up a gigantic can of worms. Not long after this, U.S. intelligence and military personnel reported the same symptoms in other places around the world, including China, Europe, and even in Washington, D.C. The strange phenomena was called Havana syndrome, and after doing an investigation, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine released a report in December of 2020 saying that microwave energy, specifically directed pulsed radio frequency energy, appears to be the most plausible explanation. Then, just 1 month later, the CIA released a report claiming that most of the cases of Havana syndrome were not the result of a campaign by a hostile power, and suggested that it was just stress or psychosomatic reactions. Obviously, they just don't want the general public to freak out by admitting that psychotronic weapons exist. In February of this year, 2022, reports surfaced that numerous White House staff had experienced Havana syndrome on the White House grounds and believed that they were being targeted with a directed energy weapon. 60 Minutes did a segment about it and interviewed some of the targets, which include Olivia Troy, who worked at the Department of Homeland Security and counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Mike Pence, and another Trump administration official, some of which said that they were targeted at their home, at their apartments. If you look up psychotronic weapons or electronic harassment on Wikipedia, the article says that it's just a conspiracy theory that government agents make use of electromagnetic radiation to harass people or transmit sounds into their heads. But for decades now, the United States government has been in possession of a device that can literally make people hear voices that seem as if they're coming from within their own head. In 2002, a patent was issued to the United States government for a device designed to, quote, induce a thermoacoustic signal in the bone tissue material.
Now, hold up. He just basically said that they have technology. They have technology right now and a device that can project voices into someone's head. Now, I think most people, we already know that they can project images, but he's telling you right now, like I said, we could talk about this stuff. I could tell you this stuff from things that I've researched all day and night. Y'all gonna look at me like, whatever, you're just another conspiracy theorist. That's not what I do. I really look into what's actually plausible, like, what can be done and what is being done. And this is something I had been hearing about for I've heard about this particular type of technology being available for at least 30 years. But I want you to just kind of check out what he says as far as, what they can do when it comes to this psychotronic torture, or how they send these, what will come across to you as being telepathic messages. Check this out, though.
But for decades now, the United States government has been in possession of a device that can literally make people hear voices that seem as if they're coming from within their own head. In 2002, a patent was issued to the United States government for a device designed to, quote, induce a thermoacoustic signal in the bone tissue material of the head that replicates the input audio signal and is conducted by the bone tissue structure of the head to the inner ear, where it is demodulated by the normal processes of the cochlea and converted to nerve signals which are sent to the brain, thereby enabling intelligible speech to be perceived by the brain. In other words, you can't tell where the sound is coming from, and it appears to originate from within your own head. Another patent filed by the United States government a decade earlier in 1988 details plans for what is called a microwave voice device, which also beams voices into people's heads. The abstract for this patent reads, quote, sound is induced in the head of a person by radiating the head with microwaves in the range of 100 megahertz to 10,000 megahertz that are modulated with a particular waveform. And then it goes on to detail how this is done in a bunch of fancy scientific terms. In 2007, the Washington Post ran an article titled Mind Games, which investigated claims of individuals who believed the government was using such devices on them. The beginning of the article makes it seem as if the people are crazy, but then Further into the article, it actually outlined some of the technology and the research that the government has been involved in that is able to accomplish such a thing. It points out that in 2002, the Air Force Research Laboratory patented precisely such technology, using microwaves to send words into someone's head. Now, think about this for a minute.
Hold on. I'll tell you what, before he say what he's about to say, I'll say this. They just basically told you that they have the technology to put a voice inside of someone's head. Now, if you can put a voice inside of someone's head, and just imagine where you can go from there. People are going to start thinking that they're hearing God talking to them, that they're hearing other folks talking to them, whomever they worship, however their mind operates. You know, some people will panic. Yet a lot of folks are going to see this on a spiritual level. And that's where it gets dangerous. Because if you couple the fact that if they can now put messages in your head, and we already know that they can project images in the sky. You know, we see that with the drone. And like I said, I don't know if like a lot of people realize that when the whole drone situation, okay, peep something. Stand on the drone situation. Look how the drones came and went. The drones came and went in time for the wildfires, in time for the Super Bowl, in time for the Grammys, everything. It's like everything went in sequence. Yeah, they overlap, yet there is a sequence of things and the way order goes about. And the reason I'm saying that is these are manufactured events. This isn't the way nature operates. You know, you don't get certain things just happen like, you know, nature gives us a history of the way nature operates. We could look and see, okay, things operate like this. We have storms, we have whatnot. You don't just get fires pop up in places to where it's like no trees are burning, really, but you got houses burning. And that's something I don't think a lot of people realize, is the fact that if you go back and you look over that footage, when you started seeing trees burn, it was after you started seeing them using direct energy weapons. These were people's smart meters going off on their house. That's the reason those houses were going up. Smart meters combined with direct energy weapons. Peoples who had their houses covered with like a blue, maybe coating, maybe they got it painted, whatnot, put some type of blue tarp over the house, and they didn't have those same smart meters, their houses were protected. You see houses like, you might see like one address here, your house burnt down, and this address, or it might be like no, this house is burnt down, this house isn't. This house is burnt down, and you're wondering how that happened. And then when you look at the trees in the background, you see that the trees aren't burnt, just the trees in the like proximity, of course, of the houses, but not the actual trees pushed back. And they kept saying, oh, the fires are moving like this. If you notice, I don't know if some, and the reason I'm bringing this up during this whole discussion is because it put me in the mind of just how our perception is manipulated. Most people saw those fires and they thought it was something natural. So therefore, your mind automatically clicks toward God. Or this is something that's in the book of Revelations. God said this, and you know, this is what's happening. And listen, I'm not doubting any of that as far as what the Most High should do. But you have to also realize that You have to know, okay, you got to know where you are. You're in a land that's ruled, run, and propaganda orchestrated by quote unquote evil forces, or wealthy spiritual people that are way above your spiritual pay grade. These people operate in cults. These people operate in different sciences. That these sciences aren't evil. This is the thing right here. Energy isn't evil. It's the person that's using it. Like for instance, whatever it is, like if you learn how to a person that goes, let's say a physicist, you learn how nuclear fission, like, and everything operates, and you now have the capability of, you can create an energy source that can then help folks, or you can create bombs. This is why the scriptures, not to go into like, spirituality, but this is just nature. This is why you get to see who people are, what their inner intentions are with what they do with power. If you have the capabilities of creating something that can then help people, but you use it to create weapons and you use it for manipulation, then you need to read the room on just where you are. It's like, this is the realm where that happens a lot. So before people jump to the whole conclusion that, oh, this is God working and this is the Most High working, let me tell you when God is working. God is working when you are working by thinking. Yeah, God is working when you're thinking. And you need to be thinking when you're hearing this information, when people are telling you what's going on around. But check this out, because what he's going to talk about is how they can put voices into your head. And I know that may sound far-fetched for some, but do you realize that it takes less megahertz to put a thought into your head than it does to send a text message? And the reason I say that is, if it takes less for them to be able to project a thought into our heads than it does to send a text message, with that information, you should think like, damn, if it's harder to send a text message and we send text messages like it's nothing, then how long do you think they've been putting thoughts in your head? That's where your mind should be.
Been involved in that is able to accomplish such a thing. It points out that in 2002, the Air Force Research Laboratory patented precisely such technology, using microwaves to send words into someone's head. Now, think about this for a minute. Think about the ramifications of such technology. Such a system could easily make people think that they were hearing God or the devil, or that they were going completely insane. And how would they know that such a system was being used, since practically nobody is even aware that this technology exists? There would be no evidence that such a system was being used on a targeted individual unless the device's operator was apprehended with some strange-looking electronic device that was seized as evidence and then analyzed by electrical engineers who would likely be able to determine its purpose. And people who are victims of such technology would most likely never mention it to anyone, since hearing voices is the epitome of being crazy.
Right.
It's for these reasons that it's extremely important that the public be made aware of such technology, and that we learn how to detect and prevent its use. Certainly the CIA or the Department of Defense have tested these weapons on unwitting people to see what they would do if all of a sudden they started hearing voices in their head. Just like they did with MK Ultra mind control experiments in the 1950s and 60s, when the CIA dosed people with LSD and then monitored them to see what happened. And surely, like the test subjects of MKUltra, most of the test subjects of psychotronic weapons keep such things to themselves and didn't even tell their closest friends or loved ones out of fear that they would be seen as completely insane for hearing voices. Back in 2007, the A&E channel set up a billboard in New York using what's called an acoustic laser or an audio spotlight, which uses this same technology and projected voices in people's heads when they walk down the sidewalk in front of the billboard. The beam was narrow so that you could be walking with someone and one person would hear it, but the other person standing right next to them couldn't.
It's not your imagination. What's that? Who's there?
The show was called Paranormal State, and the acoustic laser would whisper things like, "Who's there?" and "What's that?" to people walking by. And while that could be dismissed as an innocent prank, obviously this technology has the high potential for being abused. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, one of the alleged masterminds behind the September 11th terrorist attacks, was said to claim that Allah, the God of Islam, had visited him in his prison cell one night and told him to cooperate with his captors and that things would be much easier on him and his fellow detainees. If this report is accurate, if he really did believe that God visited him in his cell one night and told him this, then it certainly wouldn't be far-fetched to think that the microwave auditory effect may have been used on him to make him think that he was hearing God. This, of course, is just a hypothesis, and if such a thing did occur, it would likely never be declassified because of the incredible power that such a technique holds. The ramifications of such technology are endless. How many politicians, business leaders, or political activists could be targeted by such a device and have an experience that God was talking to them? The possibilities are extremely disturbing to think about, and bring to mind Project Bluebeam and certain Bible prophecies about the New World Order and the Antichrist, but that's a topic for a whole other time. If you like my serious monologues like this, then you'll love reading my books. So order my latest one, Hollywood Propaganda, How TV, Movies, and Music Shape Our Culture, in paperback.
But yeah, that's just something that I had on my my Twitter timeline, because I come across a lot of stuff on my Twitter. But just dealing with the whole thing of, like, it's easy. It's easy. It's easy for them to put voices into our head. But I told you earlier, they can put a thought into your head. And it's like, people may think that that's far-fetched, but if you think about the fact that our phones with all the different AI programs and, you know, the way technology is moving, we've moved into a time where it's becoming more autonomous. And I think that with the autonomy, I don't think that a lot of people are really paying attention to who's in control of the autonomy. I think the perception is that we are, yet in actuality, it's being commandeered by something, someone else, because it's almost like just like peeping game. It's like if someone gives you something, we're talking about AI, but let's just relate it onto anything else that you may want to. If someone gives you access, I should say, to something, they give you access to something to where you can now perform tasks, go where you need to go, move how you need to move, everything. Makes your life easier. It's a convenience. There's always something on the back end, because nothing comes for free. And I know a lot of people disagree with that, oh man, it's things that's free. No, it's not. Nothing comes for free. It's like, even when, okay, check this out. I'm gonna prove that nothing is free. Even when you're a good person, just because you're a good person and you do a kind deed for somebody, you did a kind deed for somebody because you did what? You paid attention. You paid something. You paid an emotion. You paid an emotional trade, an energy trade. there's always nothing is free. And the reason I say nothing is free in that type of situation, let's say you do something good for somebody and they don't reciprocate how you think they should. Like it's like, man, get out of my face or whatever, or shit, I don't need that. Some people may get hurt by it. Some people may get offended by it. Some may be able to just brush it off. But there is an exchange, an energy exchange. So that's the reason I say nothing is free. So, you know, you pay some consequence in everything you do. So it's like with having this newfound access with AI, because I don't even think a lot of people have even really paid attention to just how how quickly it's been like just implemented into our everyday life. You know, you can do everything with one of several AI programs, and there's always new ones being developed. And I don't think people really understand what like AI is. It's just like your Alexa, Siri, whatever, you know, whatever service it is on your phone, in your house, whatever. When you talk to it, you think that it's only activated when you're speaking to it. No, that's not the way that works. The way it works is when you first, when you, like when we get our phones and in whether you have Android, whether you have iOS, and whatever particular system that you have in your house. If you have a speech automated system, when you got that particular system put in your house and you signed your contract, if you go back and you actually go through the contract, or if it's not listed as you can really readily see it, have somebody have like some type of legal aid look over. They'll show you where it said you signed, where you said that this particular operating system could listen to you, and if there's a camera, it can listen and watch you 24 hours a day so that it can learn you. Because even though you think that it's only operating when you call out its name, no, it's listening. That's how it know you called out its name, which means it's already aware. It's already, because it's learning through your conversations. If it has a camera, it's learning through your body movements. If it's connected onto the internet and your personal smartphone, it's learning your habits, your shopping habits, your viewing habits, who you talk to, how long you talk to people, what you look at, you know, how long you look at certain things. You know, it's like we don't realize how deep this rabbit hole goes. It's not even just so much the access from the other end as far as what they can see. They can measure keystrokes. They can gather your password, not even seeing what you're actually putting in, but just by the markings of your hand, timing sequences, everything is deeper than people think. That's the reason that when you hear about folks' information winding up on the dark web, which I'm gonna tell you something, honestly, most of our information is on the dark web. This is the game right here. If you notice on television, you'll see where they're now selling you security, you know, policies and systems where they'll monitor if your social, your children's social, any of your personal information comes up on the dark web. Got news for you. They're going to monitor. Listen to this. They're telling you that they're going to check out here in our regular cyberspace, as well as in the dark web, to see if your number's in there. Need you to think about the level of game that come with that. That's just like somebody telling you, look, man, pay me this, and I'm gonna let you know if them dudes up the block is about to do something to you, or if so-and-so about to do something to you, because I know that you can't go over there. You know what I'm saying? It's like only I can go over there. So, yeah, I'm gonna make sure it's cool for you. Listen, the way that I see it, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get security and all of that. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just telling you the game that's behind the game. The game is this. Yes, they're gonna go over there, check the dark web, see if your information is being listed, everything. They'll do all of that. But you have to realize what I just told you. They're going to go over to the dark web. You can't just go to the dark web on your regular computer. No, there's a whole other setup and everything. And I don't want to talk too much into that because I am not instructing people, because I don't know how to do it. I'm just saying, from the research I've done, you need whole other systems to do it. But when there, it's a whole nother domain. It's a marketplace. First and foremost, I think people need to realize that the dark web is basically a marketplace. It's a marketplace and a social media platform. It's like a social media marketplace, kind of like the way things are here, but it's people making more transactional type of situations. It's just that these type of transactions are not what you can do legally under any circumstance. But personal information, is one of the most valuable assets over there, because beyond just moving like narcotics and people and other type of shit, gathering people's personal information is much more valuable because they have unlimited access to it. Think about it. Everything we do, we give permission to give our personal information up. See, it's like I'm gonna tell you something. This level of game is like game on top of game. I don't know if y'all ever played. Have you ever seen the chessboard where there's like 5 layers and you're playing chess on different boards? It's a whole nother game. It's like whole nother level of game. This is how they have us with this whole AI situation and just the way everything is being set up. We give them permission. We sign over contracts. When we click, I accept. You ain't read all that shit that was like so-and-so copyright, so-and-so, this, and that, this, and that. If you would have paid attention, if you go back and you read all of that stuff, you'll see in there, it'll tell you you're granting permission for your camera or your microphone to be on 24 hours a day, 365. Just like when I told you in a stream previous, when I said your phone, the reason they stopped taking batteries out of phones was because they made it impractical. If you want the phone to always be a transmitter, think about this. Your phone is a transmitter, amongst other things. It's the black mirror, but it's a transmitter, meaning that not only are we able to send things out and get things back for us personally, we've granted other entities access to our personal information. In doing so, just on a legal level, in doing so on a legal level, they can do now whatever they want to with it because in that long ass contract, it says we can do whatever the hell we want to with it. Basically. So this is where the big argument comes amongst other things. Look, man, anything they do, anytime they want to hide a truth, they hide it right in your face. They hide it right in our faces. We sign over these things because they give us contracts. This is why I say, man, think about something. We always talk this shit about making a deal with the devil. You got to think about something. How do you make a deal with an entity? A contract. Why? Because legal companies are called what? Entities. They're called entities for a purpose. And the reason that they're called entities is because each company takes on the personality of a being. Walk with me. Each company takes on the personality of a particular being. Whoever is the group of people that is running that company. That's what the damn term company is. Coming together. It's a meeting of minds. A conjugation of like resources. So you have people working together. This business, if it has multiple divisions or it has more than one person input into it, more than one owner, it's called what? A legal entity, a legal person. It's a straw man. So this is now an actual entity by law. So when you sign contracts, you sign over for whatever. You sign birth certificates. We sign over our children. To who? We sign over our children. We sign over ourselves every day. Every time you put your sign of nature or signature, sign of nature, your sign, you're putting your own authentic. It's like, this is why when they say they sign these contracts in blood and all of that type of shit, when you get into like higher echelons of things, they understand what a real contract is. This is why we used to see in different movies and things back in the day where you would see people prick a finger and or something like that, and they would join them together like and everything. These are blood contracts. This is where that whole blood in, blood out, everything. It's like, it's taken serious. So going back to what I was saying was going to the whole contract and the entity thing. We sign contracts with entities, business entities, corporate entities every day. Your phone bill, your gas and electric bill, your mortgage, your rent. You know what I'm saying? These are all legal entities. The state of Ohio or wherever you're from, the United States government, entities. How the hell did a term like signing a contract with the devil? Who the hell is the devil that he has an office and a company and can sign your ass to a contract? Or you better read the damn room. Better look around. Where are you? You're in the abode, as the scriptures tell you. You here with the devils. You here with the devils. If you here with the devils, then you need to learn some discernment, meaning that you need to not take Some things you need to look at and know that you're just seeing a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of BS bullshit that they're trying to throw at you to try to distract you. Other things you better have enough awareness that you can see beyond certain other shit. Like, I have this thing for like phrases and just like symbols. Like, I'll hear words, and then I'll start hearing those words in different places, in different situations, and different things. And it's like pretty soon I can pretty much see that, okay, something is a that this particular word, term, whatever, is about to be associated with something in the future. Sure enough, something comes along, whether it's some type of movie that becomes a big social thing where it's like everybody's into it, some movement happens, some event happens. They always tell you what they're gonna do. It's just that, like I say, man, the way to hide the truth is to hide that shit in plain sight. What's the best? What's the best place to hide something from somebody? If somebody wants you to do something, okay, I'll put it like this: if a person want to shoot you and they're like really showing you that they're gonna shoot you, peep this. Some people may tuck the gun in back. They basically putting the gun on the table and the gun is off safety, and you signing a contract saying you don't know. You thinking that you just signing a contract for this gun to just sit on the table to protect you. But in the contract it say, I can shoot your ass at any given time. And you ain't even read the contract to know that this contract says I can shoot your ass at any given time. So you just sign it like we sign shit every day. But we're in a place where we have terminologies like you can make a deal with the devil. The devil is in this type of situation, the devil is any corporate entity that you can sign to that will take away from you, and you will gain nothing from it. In the end, you'll actually lose. Like I tell people all the time, there is nothing empowering at this point, and I'll say this, there is nothing empowering about the promotion of us telling our children, telling ourselves that we need to sign certain contracts in order to give ourselves a push. Like, we have to, like, if you're doing something independent, like for instance a podcast or whatnot, you may not be gaining traction, you may not have a lot of followers, may not whatever. You may have certain companies may come at you and they want to throw things at you like, oh man, we can promote you, we can do this. And you see where they've pushed people into like hundreds of thousands, millions of followers. All of that. I've seen all of that, everything. I've seen people go through situations. What I'm saying is, yeah, that shit might be green in the beginning. The grass might look real green in the beginning. But as you keep walking through the field, you may see that this grass starting to turn gray and brown and shit. You know what I'm saying? In the end, because this world we live in is like Vegas, and the house is gonna always win. I said that like 4 years ago. The house is gonna always win. And the reason that the house is gonna always win is because it's their game. But beyond it just being their game, anybody who's successful in like any type of gamble, any type of casino situation, they know that there's a level of skill, but there's also some moderation too. And you have to learn how like certain games are played. This goes the same with life and the way that we do things every day. When, like I tell you, we sign these contracts every day, and you can make, and if we're in a place where you can make a deal with the devil, and the devil is an actual entity, and we have corporate entities and legal terms for a business is, and entity, then you have to realize that we're talking about you're signing on to groups of people who can be detrimental to you in the end. Like I said, a lot of times, yeah, they'll throw a bunch of money at you just to kind of pivot for a second. They'll throw a lot of money at you, may throw a promotion at you, put you in places. They'll get you indoors that you didn't have access to. That's the whole thing right there. Everything is about where you can gain access to. And all access ain't good access. Y'all's about, people getting to levels and doing all type of shit. You ain't gotta be nobody famous to just have some doors open for you that aren't good doors. Like just in like anything that you're doing. And just one way that you know that you're about to get hustled or you're about to go through some shit that you don't need to go through, like, you know what I'm saying, unnecessarily, is when you have an opportunity come to you and you have no actual control over the actual opportunity. It's just something presented to you and you have to take or leave. That ain't never a good opportunity. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I don't have an option in it, then I'm basically signing myself over to you. I'm giving you full access over me. And that's dangerous for anybody, because if you give them the power to feed you, then they got the power to starve your ass. So you got to always watch who you give access and what you give access to, as far as what you're signing over, what you put what you grant access to, and things like that. But going back to the whole thing with the just to kind of tie this all together, with the security systems where they offer to go check on the dark web for your information. When I said above, everything else that sells on the dark web information is probably one of, if not the most valuable thing, because with someone's information, you can get whatever they have. You could take a person's money, you could take a person's house, you could take a person's identity, actual identity. Y'all don't hear me? No. People actually take folks' identity. Not talking about just buying stuff in their name. Nah. Sometimes people come up missing. If folks have enough money and they want you missing and they got your information on the dark web, you may come up missing, and other situations may go into play. Things I'm not going to talk about right now because that'll be a whole nother discussion. But just staying on the whole situation with our information and how we can get signed into these contracts that we don't realize you signing yourself into somebody else's control, and you don't know what this person's intention is. That's why that was the whole purpose, just with the music industry. I've had my run-ins with the music industry years ago, like, you know what I'm saying, running around trying to get signed and shit like that, and then you have your dreams shattered sometimes when you're sitting in an office and you're talking to people, and it's like they're trying to like tell you how to be you. Like, I've had people tell me that, like, as far as this like music, and I've also sat in on meetings where I looked at Jewish guys tell black dudes that they weren't street enough or they weren't gangster enough. I even heard a Jewish dude say one. I had a situation in Atlanta in the 90s where a guy told me, a Jewish guy, he told me that my music wasn't street enough. Like, it doesn't have that black street. When he said that, it was kind of like a trigger. I'm like, what? I'm like, how is he telling me what a black street feel it But this goes back to when I say people will then change who they are to sign that contract. I could have said, okay, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna do things a little different, get my sound like this and change up and do this and all that. But I'm like, no, I can't, because for one, that just wasn't even an option. But two, you don't know who you're signing over to and what you're signing up. Like I said, man, all this shit is an illusion. We think that like the entertainment industry, like and everything, is just about us watching people perform. No, you're watching rituals, you're watching symbology, you're watching folks give you messages through their art. And I think that with that being what I want folks to really take into a deeper consideration is that everything we consume, everything we watch, everything we read, everything we hear, everybody we talk to that we interact with, this is all energy exchange. So you got to be careful who you deal with on every level. Consumption is either good or bad on every level. And I know it seems like I went off into something, but I'm actually still on exactly what I told you about our information. Meaning, if they can get everything about who we are, if they have access to you, your medical record, access to your address, access to just everything. It's like at some point, we have to have a little more discernment. We have to get to a point where we're paying more attention to what we do every day, how we moving out here, who we interacting with, how we spend our money. That's a big focus too. How we spend our money. Because I know we think that it's nothing. Hell, I make this money, I spend it. But we're in a time where we have a social credit score. I don't know if any of y'all have been, you know, following me since back in the pandemic. I I did a whole live stream about social credit score because they were doing this on, I think it was the show American Gods. And at the time the show was on, China was already posting that they were using this particular technology and they implement it and it's used right now, meaning that like what you do and say on social media and abroad can affect you. I don't know if y'all saw my live stream about Tencent, the company Tencent in China. It's the biggest conglomerate company shit in China. It is China. Tencent is like the IoT of China because through the app WeChat that we have access to, they control everything in the country. Everyone in the country that has a smart device has to have a WeChat account. Y'all don't hear me. I told y'all that on the one about 10 cent. I'm gonna have to follow up and do my part two about that. But everybody in China that has a device, any type of smartphone, has to have WeChat because WeChat is now government sanctioned because you do everything through it. Everything. You know, go back and run that. Matter of fact, I think after this, I'm gonna share that particular stream I did about 10 Cent. I'm gonna finish it up because it's a lot more that I want y'all to know about the owner. This is why I say you have to know who you're signing on to. Because these people, we don't know these folks. You know what I'm saying? They present these they present these banners and stuff, and they create commercials, show loving families, show people doing things, and and we like, hey, I want to do that. You know what I'm saying? I agree with that. Yeah, let me have this service. Let me do this. Let me do that, or let me join on to this. Just be cautious what you're doing. Be cautious how you move out here. Protect um, your intellectual property, what you do, your podcast, your business, your service. Protect it. Study ways of protecting your business, because this information thing with people selling the information and stuff on the dark web. Listen, a little brief thing. I'm gonna get up out of here in a second because I know I didn't held y'all long enough. But the thing is this: I'm gonna tell you something. When I said there's a game on top of a game on top of a game on top of a game, the reason we'll never truly know who cert who does certain things is because when they say contracts with the devil, like I said, these are business entities. These business entities, in business, you have what are called holding companies. Holding companies are basically several people to groups of people signed on as one entity. And they can have it to where you don't know who is a member. I'll just say this just to let you know how some of these things operate. Some of R. Kelly's catalog, Jay-Z owns some of that. Jay-Z owns some of that, but you will never see his name in any paperwork because it's inside of a holding company, inside of a holding company, inside of a holding company, inside. This is how they do things. This is why, you know, most of us will never get to certain levels of business because at a certain point, it goes beyond just being business. It becomes something else. It becomes a more spiritual exchange. This is how, like I said, these terminologies, signing contracts with the devil, because you never know who the hell the devil is. Devil could be who you signing this contract to, you know. But that's the reason I say we have to practice a little bit more discernment. We have to be more responsible, more accountable for how we use our information, for what we do, just as far as each and every day, where we go, how we spend our money, because with this whole social crediting system thing, they're tracking our spending. They know what you like by what you spend your money on. You know, they know. Peep this, yo. Check this out. I gotta tell you this before I bounce up out of here. My damn ear thing is all in the way. But yo, check this out. People think that because you go to an ATM across town and you take out $200, when you take out X amount from this one, you take out X amount from that. When you've taken out your daily limit or you've taken out X amount over the course of a couple of days, right? Now, let's say, even though you've taken this money out way across town a couple of days ago, you wind up at a strip club, and you spend. AI is being implemented to where it can track spending habits to know, okay, he took out as much as he could from this ATM 2 days ago. He took out as much as he could this one day ago. He took out as much as, and now he's in a club and this money was changed over from 50s or from like $100 bills to a bunch of singles. You know what I'm saying? They know all of this. People think it's far-fetched. Man, this is the world that we're living in. They know when you they know that if you're buying cigars at the store all the time, if you buying like, you know what I'm saying, you buying Russian creams and you buying Supremes and natural leaves and everything, they know that you smoke weed. So when they see other withdrawals and they see that you may go to like a dispensary like or whatever, they also know how much you smoke. They get to know your habits. They know when you buy beer, when you buy alcohol, they know when you go to the bars and everything because the bars have to report on, people that are there. You say, how they know when I'm at the bar? They got your GPS, goofy. They tracking your movements through your smartphone, you know? Welcome to the world that we in now, people, you know? But I ain't mean to hold y'all real long, but y'all know me, I'm long-winded, and when I got something to get off my chest, I'm damn sure gonna say it. But yo, this your man on the boy October 9. Y'all know what this is. All the thinking out loud live, common sense analytics, Cincinnati's most controversial. And I say that not just to be saying that shit. The reason I say, because somebody asked me, why you always say that? I say that because the way that my mind operates, I don't think anybody else's mind like is here in my city. I don't think anybody is willing to go down the rabbit holes that I go down, and you'll see in the future because I'm breaking down shit ain't nobody even thought about. But I'm gonna catch y'all later, y'all. Take it easy.